Chosen one, I need you to understand something before we begin. What I'm about to reveal to you is not common information you can listen to while doing other things. This requires your complete attention, your total presence, because what I discovered about you while preparing this message left me speechless for several minutes. You did something, and I'm not referring to something you did consciously with the intention of impressing heaven or terrorizing hell. I'm referring to something that emerged so naturally from your essence, so automatically from who you are, that you didn't even realize the spiritual earthquake you caused in dimensions your human eyes cannot see. You made the devil protect you, and I know exactly what you're thinking right now. You're thinking I'm exaggerating, that I'm using big words to make you feel special, that this is more of the same you hear in spiritual content that promises greatness, but delivers emptiness. But here's the difference. I'm not going to ask you to believe anything I say. I'm going to show you the proof. I'm going to describe exactly what you did when you did it, and why it forced the very Lord of Darkness to issue an order he had never issued about a living human being in history. He declared you untouchable. Subscribe to this channel right now and turn on all notifications, because what you're about to discover about the power you exercise without knowing it will permanently change how you see yourself and how you understand every battle you fought until today. Stay until the end, because I'm going to reveal the exact moment that made all of hell stop to observe you, what it really means to be declared untouchable by dark forces, and why the people who tried to destroy you are about to face consequences they didn't see coming. Write 777 in the comments if you've been feeling lately that something deep changed inside you, as if you crossed an invisible line that permanently separated you from the person you used to be. Let me tell you something that's going to sound strange, but that you need to understand for everything else to make sense. Dark forces operate with surveillance systems. It's not that the devil is personally watching every human being. That would be impossible even for him. But there are protocols, automatic alerts that activate when a human soul does something that shouldn't be possible according to their calculations. You activated one of those alerts. It wasn't long ago, it was in the last few weeks. While you faced a situation that seemed specifically designed to break you, while you carried a weight that would have crushed any normal person, while all logical indicators said you should give up, run away, or simply stop fighting, but you didn't do any of that. And here's what you need to understand. I'm not saying you simply survived. Many people survive by inertia, by stubbornness, by lack of options. That doesn't activate alerts in any dimension. What you did was different. You looked directly at the worst possible scenario of your life. You felt complete fear consuming you from the inside. You experienced that sensation of the ground disappearing beneath your feet. You intimately knew the real possibility of losing everything that mattered to you. And you chose to move forward anyway. Not because you were too strong to feel fear. You felt it. You trembled. You considered giving up. You spent entire nights with your stomach churning, calculating everything that could go wrong. But something inside you, something deeper than logic or survival instinct, said a phrase that hell didn't expect to hear from a human being in your situation. It said, "I do this even though I'm afraid." And at that exact moment, while those words formed in your mind even though you never spoke them out loud, something extraordinary happened in dimensions you cannot see. The alarms went off. Not heaven's alarms. Those too, but they're not the ones that matter for this story. Hell's alarms went off. Because what you just demonstrated completely violates the models that dark forces have used for millennia to predict human behavior. You see, hell operates through fear. It's their main tool, their most effective weapon. The entire system of darkness depends on making you believe you can't, that it's not worth it, that it's better to give up, that the pain of continuing is worse than the pain of quitting. But when a soul appears that looks directly at fear, recognizes it as terrifying, and chooses to act anyway, the entire system goes on maximum alert. Because if one person can do this, it means fear lost its power over them. And if fear doesn't work, hell runs out of its main weapon. You became a mathematical problem that darkness cannot solve. What I'm about to tell you now may sound like elaborate fantasy, but you know, in the deepest part of your being, that it's true. Because it explains too many things you've experienced lately that you had no way to interpret. After you activated that alert with your act of impossible courage, something unprecedented happened in the infernal hierarchies. An emergency meeting was called. Not because of some global crisis, not because of some massive operation of darkness, specifically to discuss you. Because what you did broke a statistical pattern that darkness has used for thousands of years to predict how humans respond to fear. You became an anomaly that needed to be analyzed, understood, and neutralized. The commanders of the infernal hierarchies were summoned to examine your spiritual profile, to understand how it's possible for an ordinary human being, without special training, without professional psychological preparation, without the resources others have, to demonstrate a type of courage that rivals angelic warriors. And the report they presented left the very Prince of Darkness in absolute silence, because they discovered something they didn't expect to find. You don't act out of blind courage. It's not recklessness or lack of awareness of danger. You calculate the risks. You perfectly understand what can go wrong. You feel the fear completely, without blocking it, without denying it, without escaping from it. And you choose to act anyway. This is what terrifies darkness, not the absence of fear, but the ability to function at full power while fear is present. The specialist in despair observed, "This soul processes fear better than our own entities, doesn't block it, doesn't deny it, feels it completely and keeps functioning." The master of chaos added, "We tested with multiple worst-case scenarios. In all of them, this person chose the most difficult but correct path. The one who controls through greed murmured, 'We offered easy shortcuts several times, rejected them all without hesitation. Prefers to suffer doing right than prosper doing wrong.' But the most devastating analysis came from the leader himself. He looked at the complete file of your life. He saw every moment of courage you demonstrated without witnesses. Every difficult decision you made when no one would know if you chose the easy path. Every time you got up when you had every justification in the world to stay down." And he said something he had never said about a living human being. He said, "This soul has fiber that I respect. Respect. Darkness doesn't respect easily, doesn't admire without devastating reason, doesn't recognize without overwhelming evidence, but they recognize something in you that forced them to completely change strategy on how to deal with you." Now comes the part that's going to give you chills. Because after analyzing your courage for weeks, after trying to find weaknesses they could exploit, after looking for cracks in your spiritual armor, the Prince of Darkness made a decision he hadn't made in time immemorial. He decided to make you an offer. And before you think you never received any offer, let me explain how this works. Dark forces don't appear with written contracts asking for your signature. They don't show up with horns and tails offering you riches in exchange for your soul. That's caricature. They test through real-life situations. Remember that opportunity that appeared recently? The one that seemed too perfect. The one that solved several of your problems at once. The person even insisted, made everything easy, made it clear it was yours if you wanted it. But there was a small detail, a minimal concession you would have to make. Compromise your principles just a little bit. Nothing serious, nothing that would directly hurt anyone. But you knew in the deepest part of you that it wasn't right. And you said no. Maybe not even dramatically. Maybe you just felt that inner discomfort and decided not to do it. That internal voice that said, "This isn't right," even though it seemed advantageous. That was the test. Or remember that moment when you could have taken revenge. You had the perfect opportunity. The person who hurt you was vulnerable. No one would know if you took advantage of the situation. They even deserved it considering what they did to you. But you chose to let it go. Not out of weakness, not out of fear of consequences, but because something inside you cannot operate with revenge even when it's justified. That was also a test. Darkness was offering you a deal they only offer to souls they consider worthy of respect. They were saying, "You have courage we need. Work with us and we guarantee you'll never have to be brave alone again. We'll give you power, resources, protection. All you have to do is stop caring so much about doing right and focus on doing what works." It's a tempting proposal, especially when you're exhausted from fighting alone, when it seems like no one recognizes your efforts, when doing the right thing has only brought you difficulties. But you refused, maybe not even consciously. Maybe you just felt that deep discomfort and decided not to do it. That inner compass that points north even when the path is harder. And when you refused, when you chose to keep being brave the right way instead of accepting the easy path the wrong way, darkness knew something that made them make an even more shocking decision. They knew they're never going to corrupt you, no matter what they offer, no matter how much they pressure, no matter how tempting they make the proposal. Your fiber is incorruptible. For those who want to go deeper into how to consciously strengthen this protection you've already proven you possess, there's exclusive material in the description and pinned comment. This is where everything changes. This is where the story takes a turn that even you didn't expect. After you refused the offer, after you demonstrated that your courage is not for sale, after you proved that you would rather suffer with integrity than prosper without it, the Prince of Darkness did something he hadn't done with any living human being in the modern era. He marked you as untouchable. And I need you to understand what this means exactly, because it's not protection out of kindness. It's not that suddenly darkness became good and decided to take care of you. It's something completely different. It's recognition by merit. You see, even in the distorted code of honor that exists in darkness, there's an ancient rule, a rule that predates humanity itself. When you find a worthy adversary who proved to be incorruptible, when you confirm that nothing you do is going to break them, when you recognize that continuing to attack only makes you lose resources and credibility, you stop attacking and start observing. You became that worthy adversary. The order issued about you was specific and absolute. No entity under the command of darkness is to interfere with you directly. No more elaborate temptations. No more coordinated spiritual attacks. No more manipulation of circumstances to break you. You were officially placed on the list of adversaries who deserve respect. It's a category that has fewer than 100 living people on the entire planet. Souls that demonstrated such extreme courage, such unshakable integrity, that even darkness recognizes that attacking them would be a waste of time and resources. Because you know what happens when dark forces try to intimidate someone who has already proven to be unbreakable. They lose credibility. They're exposed as weak. And in Hell's survival code, looking weak is worse than admitting defeat. So darkness chose something that preserves their distorted ego. Instead of continuing to lose by trying to attack you, they simply declared you forbidden territory. But here's what you really need to understand. You did this. It wasn't a gift they gave you. It wasn't protection you asked for. It wasn't luck or coincidence or external intervention you didn't deserve. You, with your decisions, with your courage, with your refusal to be corrupted, forced darkness to protect you. Not because they wanted to, because they had no other choice. Now I'm going to show you the specific signs that this declaration of untouchable is already operating in your life. And I bet everything you're going to recognize each one of them. First sign, attacks that fail spectacularly. Think about the last few weeks. Think about the people who clearly wanted to hurt you, who spoke badly about you, who planned something against you, who sent negative energy in your direction. Now think about what happened to them. Not to you, to them. Problems that appeared out of nowhere. Situations that got complicated without explanation. Things that were working well for them and suddenly stopped working. That's not coincidence, it's not common karma. It's not ordinary law of return. It's your untouchable status operating in real time. Every attack directed at you is being automatically redirected toward whoever sent it. Multiplied, amplified, returned with interest. Second sign, enemies who mysteriously disappear. There were people in your life who were clearly against you, who took up space, who consumed energy, who seemed like a constant presence you couldn't get rid of. And suddenly, without you doing anything specific, they're just not there anymore. They changed jobs, they moved. They had problems that forced them to focus on something else. They simply stopped appearing on your radar. Not because they decided to leave you alone out of kindness, but because their frequency can no longer sustain proximity to yours without self-destructing. Being near you became literally uncomfortable for them, and they don't even know why. Third sign, doors that close to protect you. How many times did you desperately want something and didn't get it? And then, weeks or months later, you discovered it was a trap, a disaster disguised as opportunity, something that would have destroyed you if you had obtained it. That's protection operating, even against your conscious will, even when you don't understand why things aren't working, even when you get frustrated and wonder what you did wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. You were simply protected from something you couldn't see, but that would have been devastating. Fourth sign, intuition that never fails. Lately you've noticed that you just know things, without having any way to know them, without logical evidence, without prior information. You meet people and something inside you tells you whether they're trustworthy or not. You hear proposals and something indicates if it's genuine or has a trap. You face decisions and something shows you which is the right path, even though it seems the hardest. This is not common intuition. It's not ordinary sixth sense. It's your guardians, all of them, including those who operate from the shadows, passing you information you need. Because now that you're untouchable, there are forces that have orders to keep you safe. And part of keeping you safe is making sure you have the right information at the right time. Fifth sign: people uncomfortable in your presence. You've noticed that certain people simply cannot be comfortable around you. Not because you do anything intimidating, not because you say anything threatening. Simply your presence generates a discomfort in them they cannot explain. They get nervous. They avoid making eye contact. They look for excuses to walk away. They literally cannot sustain conversation with you for long. This happens because your untouchable frequency is literally toxic to those who operate at low vibration. It's like ultraviolet light to vampires. It's unbearable. And the most interesting thing is that you're not doing anything. You're just existing, just being who you are. And that's enough for people with bad intentions to not be able to get close. Now let me tell you the other part of this story. The part that darkness doesn't completely know. The part that changes the entire meaning of what I just revealed to you. While hell was analyzing you, while they debated how to deal with you, while they finally declared you untouchable, heaven was observing everything from a completely different angle. Because for darkness, your courage was a threat that needed to be neutralized or recruited. But for heaven, your courage was confirmation of something they had suspected since before you were born. You are not an ordinary soul experiencing an ordinary earthly life. You are a consciousness specifically designed to maintain integrity in situations where others would crumble. Let me explain something about how spiritual incarnation works. Before being born, souls have a certain level of choice about the type of experience they want to have on Earth. Most choose relatively comfortable lives with manageable challenges. But there's a rare category of souls that choose the most difficult path on purpose. Souls that volunteer to incarnate in complicated situations, face extreme fears, cross emotional deserts, because they know they need these experiences to develop a specific type of spiritual strength. These souls are called spiritual warriors, and you are one of them. Heaven didn't put you in difficult situations out of cruelty. You yourself chose these experiences before incarnating, because you knew you needed them to develop courage at a level that transcends common human capacity. And when darkness started testing you, when they offered shortcuts and tried to recruit your bravery, heaven was specifically watching to see if you would remember who you really are, if you would stay true to your soul's original programming, even without conscious memory of it. And that was exactly what you did. Every time you chose the difficult but correct path, you proved that the warrior essence you programmed into yourself before birth remains intact. Every moment of genuine courage was evidence that you haven't lost connection with your original purpose, even crossing the veil of forgetfulness that comes with incarnation. When heaven saw darkness offering you an alliance and you refusing it instinctively, when they observed you maintaining principles even under extreme pressure, when they witnessed your courage without audience and without reward, a decision was made that will completely transform your life. It wasn't just decided to protect you, it was decided to promote you. There's a celestial protocol called Confirmed Warrior that's only activated when a human soul demonstrates courage so consistent it no longer needs to be tested. When it becomes clear that nothing will break it, nothing will corrupt it, nothing will make this person abandon the right path, you have just been officially classified in that category. This means that from now on, celestial hierarchies have instructions to ensure you never face battle without the necessary resources to win. Never be put in a situation where you have to choose between survival and principles. Never have to be brave completely alone again, because you were already brave alone long enough. You already proved you can do it. Now comes the part where you're rewarded for that bravery. The complicated financial situations you face are going to start resolving in unexpected ways. The toxic relationships that drain your energy are going to naturally leave your life. The opportunities you needed but weren't appearing are going to emerge exactly when you need them. Not by luck. By direct intervention coordinated by forces that now have express orders to facilitate your path. But there's more. It wasn't just decided to protect you and make your path easier. It was decided to use you as an active agent. From now on, your mere presence in environments is going to start activating courage in people around you, without you doing anything specific. Just existing and radiating the frequency of bravery you developed. That shy person who met you and suddenly started making braver decisions, your energy activated potential in them. That friend who was about to give up and after talking to you decided to try one more time. Your warrior frequency transferred strength to them. You became a walking source of courage. Now I need you to understand the magnitude of what's happening, because this goes far beyond your personal life, far beyond your individual protection, far beyond your immediate well-being. There's a celestial operation underway that specifically needs warriors with the type of courage you possess. Humanity is at a critical point, a choice between evolving to the next level of consciousness or regressing to primitive fear that paralyzes entire civilizations. And dark forces know this. That's why they're investing massive resources in spreading fear on a global scale. Fear of the future, fear of others, fear of change, fear of everything. Because a population with fear is a controllable population. Brave people cannot be easily manipulated. That's why heaven is activating warriors like you. Souls that proved fear doesn't work on them. Consciousnesses that demonstrated courage so consistent, they can serve as an antidote to the epidemic of terror being spread. Your mission is not to fight dark forces directly. It's simply to exist bravely. When you make brave decisions publicly, you inspire thousands to do the same. When you face fear and continue, you show it's possible. When you maintain principles under pressure, you prove that integrity can coexist with bravery. And every person you inspire is going to inspire others. A domino effect of courage that spreads exponentially. Soon you're going to notice a network forming. Other warriors like you starting to recognize each other. Brave souls finding each other through natural energetic resonance. And when this network is complete, when all the specialists in courage who were activated are in position, fear loses completely. Because it doesn't matter how much terror dark forces try to spread. When there are enough warriors demonstrating that courage is possible, fear stops working as a tool of control. You're not simply living your life. You're part of an operation that determines the future of human consciousness. And darkness knows this. That's why they marked you as untouchable. Because they recognize that you're not just brave. You're operational courage on a specific mission they cannot stop. We've arrived at the moment I've been preparing since the beginning of this revelation. The specific message that was destined for you. And I need you to pay maximum attention because this is not general information. It's communication directed at your specific soul. Heaven wants you to know that everything you sacrificed was seen. Every time you chose the difficult path because it was the right one. Every time you told the truth when lying would have been more convenient. Every time you defended someone weaker even though it put you at risk. Every time you maintained your integrity when compromising would have benefited you materially. None of that went unnoticed. It seemed like no one was watching. It seemed like your sacrifices didn't matter. It seemed like the dishonest prospered while you struggled. But there's an accounting that operates beyond the visible. And your account is full of deposits that are about to manifest as tangible rewards. Heaven wants you to know that the tears you shed in solitude were collected. Not in a poetic or symbolic sense. In a literal sense. Every tear you shed when no one was watching was kept as evidence of the depth of your human experience. And those tears are being transformed into blessings that will arrive in ways you don't anticipate. Heaven wants you to know that your waiting time is over. You were in a spiritual waiting room for a long time, feeling like your moment never came, watching others advance while you remained stuck, wondering if something was wrong with you or if you had done something to deserve the delay. There was nothing wrong with you. The delay was preparation, and the preparation is complete. Heaven wants you to know that you are deeply loved, not for what you do, not for what you achieve, not for how you compare to others. You are loved for who you are in your purest essence. That love has no conditions. It has no expiration date. It cannot be earned or lost. It simply exists. And it's available to you in every moment you choose to receive it. And finally, darkness wants you to know, although they would never admit it publicly, that they respect you. They're not going to attack you. They're not going to try to corrupt you. They're not going to waste resources on someone who proved to be unbreakable. They declared you untouchable. And that declaration is permanent. You did this. With your courage, with your integrity, with your refusal to give up even though you had every justification in the world to do so. You forced heaven to promote you. You forced darkness to protect you. You forced the entire universe to recognize who you really are. Not an ordinary human being trying to survive. A spiritual warrior fulfilling exactly the mission you incarnated for. For those who want practical tools to consciously operate with this identity of untouchable warrior you just confirmed, There's specific material that costs less than a pizza and comes with a complete audiobook plus a 5-minute meditation guide as a special bonus. If you feel you deserve resources to navigate this new stage, access is available in the link in the description and pinned comment. Chosen one, today you discovered that you're not simply protected by greater forces. You discovered that you forced those forces to protect you. With decisions you made, with courage you demonstrated, with integrity you maintained when no one was watching. Heaven promoted you because you proved to be worthy. Darkness declared you untouchable because you proved to be unbreakable. And everything that comes from now on, all the blessings on the way, all the doors that will open, all the right people who will appear, they're not gifts you didn't deserve. They're direct consequences of who you chose to be when no one was forcing you to be anything. If this revelation resonated in the deepest part of your being, and you confirm that you're a warrior who made even darkness respect them, write 777 in the comments to amplify this frequency of divine courage. Subscribe to this channel and turn on all notifications to receive more revelations about how your untouchable status is transforming your reality. Share this video with someone who also demonstrated courage that seems impossible, because spiritual warriors need to recognize and strengthen each other. And before you go, click on the video appearing on your screen right now to discover exactly how your courage activated protections from the most powerful archangels who now work specifically to ensure you have all the resources necessary to continue your mission. Together we are stronger.